questions 11 through 20 on the 2004 grade 11 Fermat Math contest. If x is located on the number line as shown, which letter best corresponds to the location of minus x squared? So here's x, and it looks like approximately, let's say, minus 0.7. Okay, approximately, right? And they want you to figure out this guy right there. So minus x squared, just be careful. Minus x is minus 0.7, and then square it. So minus 0.7 squared is going to be 0.49. And there you go. So our number is 0.49, negative. So which one of those, A, B, C, or D, corresponds to that? Well, it looks like it's C, right? Because D and E are greater than 0. We have a negative number, so those are out. And then B and A are less than X, right? And our value is a little bit greater than X on the number line. So C is the right choice. So 11, the answer is C. R is the midpoint of the line segment PQ, and S is the midpoint of line segment QR. If P has coordinates 2, 1, and S has coordinates 14, 7, then the coordinates of Q are. So let's label these. Let's say Q is XY. And R, well, just call it AB. It doesn't really matter. You can call it anything. So now let's work with the information they give us. They tell us that R is the midpoint of PQ, correct? So that means that AB can be calculated by using the other 2 points, which are in this case P and Q. So you remember how to calculate the midpoint? You take the 2 points, add them, and divide by 2, right? So it basically becomes x plus 2 divided by 2 and y plus 1 divided by 2, like that. So A is x plus 2 over 2, and B is y plus 1 over 2. Okay, so now we turn our attention to what they want, which is S is the midpoint of QR. So S is the midpoint of Q and R right there. Okay, in a very similar way, we're going to create 2 equations. X plus A over 2 is equal to 14, correct? And Y plus B over 2 is equal to 7. And then we have values for A and we have values for B, so substitute those in there. So we got x plus 2 over 2 is equal to 14. I'm just immediately going to cross multiply. So we got x plus 2 over 2 is equal to 28, like that. And then get a common denominator. 2x plus 2 over 2 is equal to 28. And then I can cross multiply again. 3x plus 2 is equal to 56. 3x is equal to 54, and therefore x is 54 divided by 3, which is 18. All right? And in a very similar way, we're going to figure out B now. Y plus B, which is y plus 1 over 2. All over 2 is 7. So y plus 1 over 2 is 14. And then multiply top and bottom by 2. So we get 2y plus 1 is equal to 28. 3y plus 1 is equal to 28. And therefore 3y is equal to 27, and y is equal to 9. So Q is 18, 9, the coordinates. So 18, 9 for number 12 would be choice D. In the diagram, B, C, and D lie on a straight line. ACD is 100, ADB is x, ABD is 2x, and angles DAC and BAC are equal to y. The value of x is. Well, the first thing is the angles about a line are equal to 180. So that means that if this is 100, this angle in here has to be 180 minus 100. So that's 80. Okay? And then we can just use the fact that the sum of the angles of any triangle is 180. So 100 plus x plus y is equal to 180. And that means x plus y is equal to 80. And y is therefore equal to 80 minus x. And then very similarly in this triangle, we've got y plus 2x plus 80 is equal to 180. And therefore y plus 2x is equal to 100. And then y we know is 80 minus x plus 2x is equal to 100. And therefore x is equal to 100 minus 80, which is 20. So there you have it. Number 13, the answer is E. In the diagram, ABCD is a rectangle and point E lies on AB. Triangle DEC has DEC, that angle, equal to 90. DE is 3, EC is 4, the length of AD is. So let's start labeling. This is 3, and this is 4. And if you're in grade 11, by now I'm sure you know that this is a 3, 4, 5 triangle. You can use Pythagoras to verify that, since that is a right angle. And we need to label some of these we don't know. AD I'll call X. Therefore, since it's a rectangle, this is also X. And I'll call this Y. And EB, therefore, would be 5 minus Y. All right? And then from this triangle right here, I can use Pythagoras to get a relationship. So we get x squared plus y squared is equal to 3 squared, which is 9. And then from this triangle, we can get a very similar type of relationship. 5 minus y squared plus x squared is equal to 16, 4 squared basically. And where do you want to go from here? We can, solve this. We have two equations, we have two variables. So I'll just say that isolate for x squared in this one, 9 minus y squared, and then substitute that into there. So I'll have 5 minus y all squared plus x squared, which is 9 minus y squared, is equal to 16, like that. Expand this and I get 25 minus 10y plus y squared plus 9 minus y squared is equal to 16. The y squareds cancel, and let's see, collecting like terms, I put the 10y on one side. 25 plus 9 is 34. 34 minus 16 is 18. So therefore y is equal to 18 over 10. And then now the length of AD is what they want, and I've called it x. No problem, I can just substitute that into there. X squared is 9 minus y squared. So that's 18 over 10 all squared, like that. And therefore, if you get out your calculator and solve this, you'll get x is equal to 2.4. And therefore, number 14, the answer is B. The graph of x squared minus y squared equals 0 is. This is a really nice question. At first, I don't know if you can figure this out. The first thing I thought of is, isn't this a circle, right? You remember the equation of a circle. Let's see if I remember. X minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared, right? R is the radius, hk is the center. But in this case, r is 0. You can't have a circle with a radius of 0. So obviously it's not a circle. All right, well, is it a parabola? Is it a single point? It's a good question. I like this one. Oh, I like all the questions, but I mean, this one, it kind of challenges you a bit. For some people, it may not challenge you, but for most of us, I think it does. What I did is basically thought about it in the way where you just isolate, put it on one side like that. Then you get x squared equals to y squared. Now, that still may not help you, right? You might think, well, I still don't know. Just take the square root of both sides. If you do, you'll get that x is equal to y, correct? So if you've got a coordinate plane like this, x is equal to y, I'm sure you know, is basically a straight line like that. So you might be tempted to choose A, but just, think about it for another 5 to 10 seconds. Sure, we got x equal to y, right? When we took the square root of both sides there. But if I take the square root, I can also get x equal to minus y, correct? That will also work. So that is this equation right there. That line is representative of that equation. X is equal to minus y. So here we have x equals y, here we have x equals minus y, and therefore these are two straight lines. So number 15, the answer is E. A right-angled triangle has side lengths 6, 8, and 10. A circle is drawn so that the area inside the circle but outside this triangle equals the area inside the triangle but outside the circle. The radius of the circle is closest to. So here is our diagram blown up. And let's think about this question first before we tackle it. They are telling us that you have a circle drawn so that the area inside the circle but outside this triangle. So inside the circle but outside the triangle. So it's this region right here. Correct? Hope you agree with me. All that I have shaded in orange. It's inside the circle but it's outside the triangle. So I'll just call that area of shaded, because I shaded it in orange. And they're saying that is equal to the area inside the triangle but outside the circle. All right? So that would be this region right here. I'll use red this time. That region is inside the triangle, but it's outside the circle. So I'll call that area of red. And you can call it anything. It doesn't really matter, but that's what I'm going to call it. And then you can see that there's a big chunk in the middle that I haven't labeled, so I'll just call that M. M for middle. All right? And let's work with this now. So first and foremost, what is the total area of everything? If I said, what is the total area of this weird looking shape here? Well, it would be the area of the orange, which is AS, area of shaded. And then you would add to that the area of the red, which is AR. And then, of course, you would add the area of M. Correct? So no tricks here, just looking at the diagram. The orange, the red, and the middle section is the total area. But the total area can also be represented by the following. You take the area of the circle, you add to it the area of the triangle, but then you subtract from that M. Why? Because M you've double counted. All right? So I hope that makes sense. And then therefore you've got AS and AR and M on that side. So this is the mathematical equation that will allow you to figure out the radius of the circle, which is what they want. This circle here is pi r squared. This triangle, how do I figure out the triangle? Well, it's 1/2 base times height. And then M, I'm going to put this M over on this side. I'm going to put it over on that side. So I get AS plus AR, but instead of AR, I can just put AS, right? Because AS is equal to AR. And then I've got 2M. Okay, now base times height in the triangle they tell you is 6, 8, 10. So I think this is 6, this is 8, and this is 10. So it's a right triangle, so our base can be 6 and our height can be 8. So this will give me pi r squared plus 1/2 6 times 8. And this is 2as plus 2m, like that. Okay. And let's see here. Let's shrink this a bit because I'm going to need to. I like to keep the diagram in the same screen. So pi r squared. Let's see. The 6 divided by 2 is 3. 3 times 8 is 24. And then here I'm going to factor out the 2 and I get as plus m. Now as plus m. You tell me, what is that? Area of the shaded plus m. Did you figure that out yet? I want you to figure out, what is this right here? as plus m. It is the area of the circle. That's all that is, which is pi r squared. Okay? And therefore, we have now got it in a form where we can calculate the radius. We got 24. Bring the pi r squared over and you just get 1 pi r squared. And therefore 24 over pi is r squared. And therefore 24 divided by pi square root is going to be r. And if you do that, you will get r is equal to approximately 2.76. So therefore the answer to number 16 is closest to B, 2.8. An increasing sequence is formed so that the difference between consecutive terms is constant. If the first 4 terms of the sequence are x, y, 3x plus y, and x plus 2y is plus 2, then the value of y minus x is. So we have some terms here, and they've given us the first 4, x, y, 3x plus y, and x plus 2y plus 2. And they're saying that the difference between consecutive terms is constant. So what that means is that if I were to take, let's say, these first 2 terms, take their difference, which would be y minus x, that's going to be the same as the next difference, which would be the difference from those 2 terms, which is 3x plus y minus y. And that's going to be the same as the difference from the next 2 terms, which is x plus 2y plus 2 minus 3x minus y. Okay? And this should be enough for us to solve for x and y. So first, let's concentrate on these 2. Y minus x is equal to 3x. And the y's cancel there. And therefore, this becomes y is equal to 4x. All right? Now let's concentrate on these 2. You get 3x on that side. And on this side, let's see, we got minus 2x plus y plus 2. Correct? And y we know is 4x, so I can substitute that in. So I get 3x is equal to minus 2x plus 4x plus 2. And then if you put everything on one side, you will get, let's see here, this is 2x, so we'll just get x. X is equal to 2. Correct? And therefore, we can substitute that back in here to get 4 times 2, which gives me y is equal to 8. And therefore, y minus x is equal to 8 minus 2, which is 6. So number 17, the answer is E. If y is equal to a times x minus 2 squared plus c and y is equal to 2x minus 5 times x minus b represent the same quadratic function, the value of b is. So both of these are the same. Y is equal to a times x minus 2 squared plus c, and y is equal to 2x minus 5 times x minus b. let's solve for this. So first I'm going to expand it, of course. X squared minus 4x plus 4 plus c. And then expand that one. You get 2x squared minus 2xb minus 5x plus 5b, like that. And then let's complete this expansion here. Ax squared minus 4ax plus 4a plus c. And I think that's good enough here, right? So what I'm going to do is just in a very obvious way kind of make the coefficients stand out like this, so we can group them later. And in this one it becomes y is 2x squared plus, let's see here, minus 2b minus 5 and then plus 5b. Okay, and then these coefficients all have to match, right? Because both of those represent the same quadratic equation. They tell you that. Same quadratic function. So from the first ones, we know that a is equal to 2. That was an easy one, right? And then from the next one, we know that is equal to that. So that means that minus 4a is equal to minus 2b minus 5. A is 2, so substitute that in. Minus 2b minus 5. You get minus 8 is equal to minus 2b minus 5. And let's see here, we got minus 3 is equal to minus 2b, and therefore b is equal to 3 over 2. Okay. And what is it that they want in this question? Oh, the value of b. All right, I think I got it, right? 3 over 2. And that's it. So 18, the answer is B. A computer software retailer has 1,200 copies of a new software package to sell. From past experience, she knows that half of them will sell right away at the original price she sets. 2/3 of the remainder will sell later when their price is reduced by 40%, and the remaining copies will sell in a clearance sale at 75% off the original price. In order to make a reasonable profit, the total sales revenue must be $72,000. To the nearest cent, what original price should she set? So 1,200 copies is what you have originally. And then scenario 1 is half of them, so 600 of them, sell at a certain price. So we'll call the price P, because I don't know. The next scenario is 2/3 of the remainder. Well, we started with 1,200. We sold, well, we're trying to sell 600 at the regular price. So the remainder is 600, and we want 2/3 of that. So 2/3 of 600 is 400. And those 400 are going to be sold at 40% reduced price, so that's 0.6p. And then the remaining, which looks like 200 final remaining, are sold at 75%, so that's basically 75% off would be 25% of the original price. All right, and then we want the total to be $72,000, so that means 600 times P plus 400 times 0.6p plus 200 times 0.25p is equal to $72,000, like that. And therefore we got 600p plus 240p plus 50p, like that, is equal to 72,000. And this looks like 890p is equal to 72,000. And therefore P, if you do the division here, is 80.89 approximately. 80.89. D is the closest. So number 19, the answer is D. A soccer ball rolls at 4 meters per second towards Marcos in a direct line from Michael. The ball is 15 meters ahead of Michael, who is chasing it at 9 meters per second. Marcos is 30 meters away from the ball and is running toward it at 8 meters per second. The distance between Michael and Marcos when the ball is touched for the first time by one of them is closest to. So initially, you've got a scenario like this, and we want to label things. So I'm going to put Michael here, MI for Michael, and I'll put Marcos here, MA for Marcos, and the ball is somewhere here, correct? And they tell you some distances. The ball is 15 meters from Michael, and it's 30 meters from Marcos. And they give you the speeds. I believe the ball is 4 meters per second. Michael is 9 meters per second, and Marcos is 8 meters per second, their speeds. And Michael is going in that direction, the ball is going in that direction, and Marcos is going in that direction. Now, in a very similar way, I will draw the exact same distance, but what happens in the final scenario? The ball eventually gets to some point, I don't know where, let's just say here. And then I'm going to draw the original position of the ball, be like that. Don't get confused. But this is 15, so therefore we have to give a value for the distance that the ball travels. I don't know, so I'll just call it x. Okay? Now originally this distance was 30, correct? Now we've put an x there, so therefore this has to be 30 minus x. Now let's figure out what is the position for Michael and Marcos. Well, one of them gets to the ball first. And who is it? Well, I don't know. I don't know if it's Michael or Marcos. And I've got a 50-50 shot here. So I'm going to go with Marcos. So I'm going to say that Marcos eventually reaches the ball first. So this spot represents where the ball is and also where Marcos is. Okay? Now, Michael doesn't get to the ball first, according to my plan or my prediction, I guess. So he's going to end up somewhere along here before we get to that ball. So I don't know where he's going to be. So I'm going to say he's approximately here. Okay? Approximately here. So I'll call that MI for Michael. Now, what do they want in the question? They want you to figure out this distance right here. The distance between Michael and Marcos when one of them reaches the ball first, and I've set Marcos to reach the ball first. All right, so now let's proceed with the question now that we have the diagram. I've got Michael, I've got the ball, and I've got Marcos. Now in this question, we are going to use a formula, which I'm sure you know, that speed is equal to distance over time. And variations of this formula, of course, are that time is equal to distance over speed. Same thing, right? You're just rearranging the terms. Now for the ball, there's a certain amount of time, and for Marcos, there's also a certain amount of time that it takes the ball to get from here to here. And same way, in the similar way, it takes a certain amount of time for Marcos to go from here to here. But what's interesting is because they meet, that means the time for both Marcos and the ball were the same for that scenario. All right? So I'll just call this T1 and T2. Now T1 in terms of our formula, D over S, is going to be, of course, D over S. Let's call it D1 and S1. And T2, D2, and S2 like that. Well, D1, what is D1? It's the distance that the ball travels, and that is X. We don't know, so I labeled it X. The speed that the ball travels, we do know, is 4 meters per second. And similarly for Marcos, the distance he travels is 30 minus X, and his speed is 8. So there you go. So we have a math formula here that we can solve. Let's do that. Let's do the algebra. We got 8x if you cross multiply, and you got 120 minus 4x. So that gives you 12x is equal to 120, and therefore x is equal to 10. So that's very helpful. This x is 10. All right? So I'll just put that there, 10. And therefore this 30 minus x is 20. Okay? So we are getting very close to figuring out this distance in there. Now to figure out that distance, what we have to do is figure out the time for Michael. His time is different. His time we have to figure out using D and S. Now it's the same amount of time in terms of the seconds, right? Because if it takes a certain amount of time for Marcos to get from here to here, and it takes a certain amount of time for the ball to get from there to there, we established that those times are the same. Marcos also has the same time, but he doesn't reach the ball. He reaches there. So we have to figure out how much time that is. Well, we can basically just use this equation since we have the value for x. So the time, since all of these times are the same, the time is x over 4, and that looks like 10 over 4. All right, which is 2.5 seconds. So 2.5 seconds is the time that it takes Michael to go from his original position to here. So what we have to do is figure out how much distance did he travel. Distance is equal to, right here, time times speed, correct? So the distance is going to be the time, which is 2.5 seconds, times Michael's speed, which is 9 meters per second, and that is 22.5. So that means that he travels 22.5. The distance from here to here is 22.5. Now, if the distance from here to here is 22.5 and this is 15, that means this distance in here is going to be 7.5. Correct? And therefore, the total distance was 45, right? And we've got 15, we've got a 7.5, and we've got a 20. So if you do the subtraction, you'll find that this distance in red is going to be 2.5. And 2.5 represents the distance between Michael and Marcos when Marcos reaches the ball first. So number 20, the answer is C.